This is my RC AIRSOFT turret, 3D printing it with carbon fiber filament that's 5 times more expensive than normal plastic. And just like the Tesla Cybertruck, it's gonna have 2 electric motors and 4-wheel steering. Pair that with some off-road tires and beefy suspension and we're all set. Hey, from the future, I just want to say I put so much work into this, so if you like what you see, then please subscribe, comment. I'll see you later. Thanks. These are all 40 parts made, so now I can finally assemble this thing. Now this is where I ran into my first problem. I didn't know that when you print this super strong carbon fiber, it actually expands just a teeny bit. So when I went to put everything together, every part was just a little tiny bit too big. How do I fix this? Well, I can't throw away all of these expensive parts. So I need to sand and sand and sand every single part down so they can all fit. Now that that's done, I can actually put the first parts together. With the steering system working, step 1 of the car is complete. Oh, but Lincoln, what do you mean step 1? Well, this project has 3 parts: the car, the turret, and joining those 2 together. For the car, I need the steering and drivetrain, and we'll get to the turret later. But the drivetrain, this took me a long time to get right because the carbon fiber parts were still causing issues. So I did end up printing a few parts out of polylactic acid instead. It's just normal plastic. But that'll make the gearbox work as efficiently as possible. Because if the gearbox isn't happy, I'm not happy. But it's working. Now that the mechanical part is functioning, we can finally solder these wires together and give it some final prep before the test. This car uses 2 brushless motors, 1 on each side, to power the 4-wheel drive system. 4-wheel drive is much more complicated than 2-wheel drive because it needs to power all 4 wheels while also having those parts move with the steering system. This gets pretty complicated, also having 4-wheel steer too. The whole thing is mirrored on the rear side, so I need to calibrate the steering rods really carefully. But that's enough yapping for now. It's time to put some wheels on this thing and finally run the test. Okay, the car works. It works really well, but there are definitely still some issues. If you notice in the montage, the back wheels are unstable. I've never seen a car death wobble, but I guess it's possible now. My dad said it's an issue with the camber of the tires, but using the screw eyes built into the control arms, I should be able to fix that. But now that the car's drivetrain is working well, it's finally time for the turret. Just like the car, the turret is made out of two main parts: the base that mounts to the car and the cradle that holds the airsoft gun. Now, it wasn't always like this. My first iteration worked for about a minute, and then it broke itself apart. Obviously, in hindsight, this was a terrible design. The servos were too weak in this configuration, and there's a ton of other weak points. But getting past this part was essential for getting the overall vision of the design that'll work. Speaking of, this is the first base design. It has 3 poles to support the cradle above it and to take the pressure off the servo so it just has to focus on moving the cradle. But as you can see, one of the poles broke off after a couple minutes of testing. On the new design, the 2 fatal flaws it had were fixed. First, there's 2 more poles to support the cradle from the back, and second, it's all mega reinforced to prevent it from breaking again. And for the cradle, it mounts to the base with 4 screws and has 2 arms to support the gun. There's this rod attached to the servo connected with 2 bearings to keep it rotating smooth. Everything works pretty well except for the rod. I made it too thin and it broke just like the older base did. This is the new one. There's a screw going through the middle to strengthen the 2 parts that fit together, and on top of that there's a clamp that supports those 2 when there's any bending. And with all that, the turret is working. The rod is stronger and the base is stabilized, so now I can finally put the turret on the car and have some fun. But first, there's a couple small things I need to do. The batteries have nowhere to sit right now, so we need mounts for those. I'm thinking the side of the car and turret to keep the balance centered out and the batteries easy to swap. And to help fix the little wobble the car was doing at high speed, I ordered new tires that'll help us on and off the road. When I was gluing the first set of tires, I did it all wrong and they weren't aligned with the rim, which was definitely causing some of the instability. But at long last, the car's complete. Check this out. We're good though. We just have to plug the batteries back in. No way I didn't catch that. awesome. Watch this. This car drive with this wheel hanging off. The control arm's on the ground and it's still driving. This thing is so sad. I'm doing full speed runs with the control arm not connected to the tire, and it's still working. Cause like, I don't know how it's still working, but oh my gosh, this car is insane. But I think that's it for today. This has been such a long project. I need to go and get my turret real fast. But dude, this has been absolutely crazy. It's been a journey the last few months making this. It's been wild, but I'm so glad I could finally show it to y'all. And I can't wait for version 2 and making all the improvements to this guy and to this guy. And there you have it. This is my AIRSOFT TURRET RC car that goes 50 miles an hour. Peace out, guys.